friends, we're back again with another project with Chicka Chicka Boom Boom. If you have already read the book, you're ready to be here. If you've not heard me read the book, then you need to click up here or in the link description down below, and I'll read the book Chicka Chicka Boom Boom to you. And then you can also follow along our another project that we have going on that goes along with Chicka Chicka Boom Boom. This is what we're doing today. Make sure you ask your parents permission before you are able to do the ABC float with us today. Sink or float. Are you ready to see what sinks or floats?
Yes.
For this project is one bucket. We are using a clear bucket for this project so that you can see if it sinks or float, but any kind of bucket that you have at home will work. I actually took this out from underneath my bed. It was storing something else. And you're gonna need a lot of water. And we also have can't see it, a towel. A towel underneath the bucket and also in front of Gentry in case it splashes. And we are ready to go. The way we're going to do this is you need to go and find objects about the size of Gentry's head. No, about the size of what size? A small ball to go into your bucket, or even smaller if you have a smaller bucket. But the challenge is we're going to use objects that start with the letters in the alphabet. That means you can go find, we're just going to do A, B, and C, but you can do the entire alphabet. We're also going to do our name, Gentry's name, with objects around the house. So go now, pause the video. All right, are you back with us? Okay, we're ready. So we're gonna start with the ABC, sink or float. So Gentry went and chose different objects. The first one is A. Can you show what you chose for A? What is that?
An apple.
It's a tiny little apple. It's a real apple, guys. We found it at the grocery store. We're using apple for A. All right, do you think this is going to sink or float? Gentry, what do you think? Make your prediction.
I think it's gonna sink.
Let's see. Oh, what did it do?
Float.
It floats. An apple floats. Why do you think that is?
It may be a little bit lighter than others.
Actually, Gentry, every apple floats. What determines whether it will sink or float is the air inside of an object. If the object is fully solid, has no air inside, it will sink. If it has air inside of it, it makes it buoyant, which is another fancy word for float. It'll make it float. And this apple has air inside,
Let me try.
so it floats. Our next one is the letter B.
Well, the color is start with B too. So
Wait, do you think it's gonna sink or float?
float.
I think so too. And there we go. That ball didn't even go all the way in at all. It floats. Do you think every ball will float?
I know it will sink down because I've tried it before.
So this ball actually floats. And there are, I think most balls will float except for maybe marbles. Marbles might not have air inside of them. It doesn't matter how big the object is. If it has air in it, it will float. If it does not, it'll sink. All right, Gentry, what'd you pick for the letter C?
I choose a cup. It will probably sink and float because the water inside it.
Right. Let's see if Gentry's right. Is this gonna sink and float? Let's find out. Oh, it's floating.
And the back.
Why is it floating, Gentry?
Because it has less water inside.
It has air inside of it, doesn't it? Inside
And-
the cup,
And
it has air inside. But what happens if we put water where the air is?
it will sink.
It will sink. So that just goes to show it doesn't matter what size it is. If it has air inside of it, it'll float. Like even if you push it, watch, even if you push it down this way, it'll still float. Right.
So I had the right prediction.
You did. Okay, we're gonna move on. We can do the whole alphabet if you have time and patience and good sleuthing skills to find all of your objects starting with A through Z, then you can keep doing this. We're gonna move on to our name. It was fun to find objects around the house that begin with the letters in our name. So, our first letter, Gentry's name starts with the letter
G for Jen.
Jim. She found a G for Jim. Let me give you a close-up because it's so tiny. It's so tiny. Okay, Gentry, G for Jim. Sink or float?
Sink.
Let's see. Gentry was right. It sinks. Boom, right to the bottom. All right, it went straight to the bottom. G for Jim. Sink. All right, next one.
E for egg.
E for egg.
If we drop it in, it will crack, so I'm just gonna put it in.
Okay, let's make our prediction first. This is a raw egg that we just got out of the refrigerator.
Yeah.
So, Gentry, do you think it'll sink or float? That's a tough one.
Sink.
You think so? Why do you think it'll sink?
Because it has yolk inside and it has barely any air.
Okay, let's see if you're right. Gentry was right. It sunk.
It's kind of floating.
It kind of floating. There is a pocket of air inside an egg, and the older the egg gets, the less the air pocket kind of goes away. So these are a little bit older eggs. These are all older eggs compared to our new ones. N. What did you pick out for N?
Nail polish.
Nail polish.
I think it will sink because it only has nail polish in it, and it only has air in the cap.
Okay, so let's see. Oh, Gentry was right. Another sinker. It sunk. Look, see, it's kind of like the egg where you said the air was in the cap. It's trying to float. Good job. N for nail polish. G-E-N, what's your next letter?
T.
T.
And I found trash.
Gentry found trash on the floor. That's not hard to find in our house. Is that hard to find at your house?
Probably.
I hope so. Okay, Gentry, do you think this trash, which I think is like tissue paper, what do you think it's going to do, sink or float?
It's gonna sink.
Let's see.
Because the water will soak into it, and first it will float, and then the water will start going into it, then it will start sinking.
Okay, let's see if you're right. Bottom, bottom. There it goes. Just as predicted, Gentry is getting smarter with every sink or float. She is exactly right.
It's kind of floating.
It sunk to the bottom.
And it's kind of floating.
G-E-N-T-R. I just told you R
R.
is the next letter.
R. We have a ruler, and I think it will float because it's thin and it has more air than everybody else.
You think so? Well, there you go.
Even when you push it down.
Yeah, try to push it down. What is that ruler made out of? What's the material of the ruler?
It's made out of plastic and
There's the ruler. R for ruler. Last letter in your name is what, Gentry?
Y, and we couldn't really find anything. This is actually D, but it's yellow.
It's a yellow dog. So we're going.
I think it will sink because it's made out of plastic and it's not that heavy, but plastic can be heavy when...
Remember though, on sinking and floating, it doesn't matter how heavy it is. If it has air inside of it, it will float. So do you think there's air inside that dog?
No, because it will probably be filled in with plastic.
Okay, let's try. There you go, folks. That yellow dog sunk right to the bottom. Didn't even need concrete legs. He sunk right to the bottom. What a cute yellow dog. We are so happy you joined us today, and we invite you to celebrate today. We are so happy you joined us today, and we invite you to celebrate today. Right, Gentry?
Mm-hmm.
Celebrate today?
Yeah.
Okay.